back here in New York. Mel, we had 3 tackles go in the first 17. Probably not any for a while, huh?
Well, I think when you look at Kendall Simmons, he's going to be a guard or a center. Marc Colombo, I think, will be the next offensive tackle off the board. Late first round, I think when you look at teams like Chicago, St. Louis, needing help at offensive tackle, that's a possibility. But Kendall Simmons is more of a guard or a center. I think you look at Terrence Metcalf, more of a guard necessarily than a left tackle, but he can play this spot. Mike Pearson's a left tackle, also a possibility for Chicago, St. Louis as well. Both those teams needing help at the right tackle position. Pearson was a left tackle. He can move over to the right side. Colombo's played both left and right tackle at Boston College. Fred Weary
on the clock.
With the 29th choice in the 2002 draft, the Chicago Bears select Marc Colombo, tackle from Boston College.
They lost Brockemeyer.
This certainly makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, we talked about 3 minutes ago, the offensive tackle still on the board, and Marc Colombo was the highest-rated offensive tackle. Kendall Simmons certainly will be a guard in the NFL. You still have Andre Gerard from Colorado still on the board, and I'll tell you what, Marc Colombo, you talk about a battler, a scrapper, 6'7½", 313 pounds. Here you look at him here, and you talk about a guy who I think can be a left tackle or a right tackle, will fill a need area for the Bears. As Mort said, he ran a 5.19 at the Combine, did 30 reps, and there's been, I know, comparisons to Jason Fabini in terms of the fact he's an overachiever, but he is a pretty good athlete. I think when you look at the job he did going into this season, then, of course, he had the knee injury, so he wasn't able to finish strong, but his film evaluation grades were outstanding. His workouts were, I think very underrated. His workout numbers were solid. The Fabini comparison made sense. Fabini was a 4th-round pick. Colombo's a late first, but this was the best left tackle on the board at this point for the Bears.
It's interesting because Pittsburgh and Chicago, Pittsburgh and St. Louis picking next. Both teams have the attitude, we don't need anything. So I think we're looking at guys like a Ryan Denny for Pittsburgh, a Kendall Simmons, a guard. So these teams
maybe
are not
another
in dire
receiver,
need.
believe it or not.
Maybe another receiver.
But Marc Colombo, I mean, look, the Bears, that was one of the really nice stories last year. So now, I don't know if this is really a raincoat. He did what? I don't have my Peter Falk imitation. You know, I wasn't prepared to do it at that point.
Well, you need the overcoat ready to make it right.
It's a bad look. So Marc Colombo, you know what you get from BC, although that felt like your typical BC guard, but yet the nastiness that just kind of, it's the same sort of player that comes out of BC. It's a nastiness that most teams, certainly monsters of the Midway, would certainly like. The Chicago Bears, the Pittsburgh is on the clock, and the Chicago Bears will not be playing the next 2 years at Venerable Soldier Field. They'll take that 3.5-hour trip down to Champaign-Urbana, play at the University of Illinois for 2 years while Soldier Field gets revamped. So the Bears, who had one of the great stories last year, revamping their field, revamping their offensive line,